I don't see any. So let's go to number 3. So before we get started, again, let's take a moment of deep reflection to remember and pay respects to those that we have recently lost. Let's take a moment. Thank you, Council. So number 4, adoption of the agenda. Is there a mover? Moved by Audrey. Is there a seconder? Second by Melba. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Let's go to number 5 for delegations. He's just connecting now. Good evening, Jeff.
Hi.
Oh, there we go.
Sorry,
so Jeff Smithers is the location manager for Saggio Productions Cross TV series. So
That's
good evening. Good evening and welcome. So
thank you.
Yep, so you can explain what your request is. You have 20 minutes if you need it and 10 minutes for questions. The floor is yours, Jeff.
Thank you very much. I'm actually just pulling into Oswego right now. So I will be there physically in a couple of minutes, but I'm happy to start with this at the moment. Our television series is based on a series of novels by James Patterson, following a detective named Alex Cross. And in the particular scene that we'd like to shoot here, we're set at a truck stop in Texas where our police officers are tailing a suspect. We would like to use the Sire's gas station. And in our sequence, we have some gunplay, people being shot at, people driving around the gas station, and a truck of particular interest pulls out onto Chiefswood Road, travels about the 100 meters or 120 meters or so, and then turns left on GSR Crescent and goes up the Crescent. So for those purposes, in order to make it as safe as possible and to have as little impact on the community as possible, we would like to do a intermittent traffic stoppage with 3 police officers with cruisers, 1 at 5th Line, which will allow travelers to select another route if they prefer, and the other close by to where we're shooting, close to Steyer's gas station, and the 3rd officer just at the top of the rise to the south, I think. Sorry, to the south, probably a couple hundred meters from the gas station. These would be intermittent stoppages, which would run usually anywhere from 2 to 4 minutes at a time. Once we are safe, everything's made safe, we reopen the traffic. The police officers will have walkie-talkies that are on our channel so that they can open the road, close the road on our command. If things get really backed up, we welcome the feedback from the officers. We can let traffic clear for a time until it's back to a reasonable flow of traffic. These will be over 2 days on Monday and Tuesday, the 10th and the 11th. And we would run probably from about 7 in the morning till about 7 in the evening. Now we can probably time some things so that we are not doing intermittent traffic stoppages at the peak of your traffic flow. Sorry, I'm just pulling into the parking lot at the Central Admin building. Is that the correct building?
Yes.
Okay. What would you like me to do? Would you like me just to come in and be there in person?
Yes, you can come in. Well,
Okay.
the door's open.
Okay, I'm at the back in the parking lot.
Yes, okay. Come on in.
Okay, there in a moment. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Oh, that's okay. Yep.
Excellent. Thanks. So I'm not sure if you have any questions at this juncture, if you want me to continue to do explanation or.
There's gonna be some questions. Audrey?
Sorry, I'm gonna turn, I think I'm still in the Zoom meeting on my phone.
My questions have to do with safety. What safety
Yes.
precautions are you putting in and talking about gunshots and vehicles?
Yeah,
and-
so we will not be firing any actual weapons, not even blanks on this thing, because we're at a gas station.
Yes,
We don't want to take the risk of igniting anything, so the pumps will be switched off. The hoses will be bled so that we're not having any, fumes or petrol near to where we're doing our work. Most of the work will be done right on the grounds of the Steyer's gas station. But when we do pull out onto the roadway, we'll have the traffic locked up. We'll have our own personnel in any driveways that are feeding into the closed off area so that no one's coming out into the area where our truck is driving. And then once it's all locked up and safe, we pull out, we drive down to GSR Crescent, make the left onto GSR Crescent with the truck, and then a couple of police officers go in chase of that. And once they're pulled off, then we close everything down, we reset, and we reopen the road. So that's why we've got the 3 police officers for the safety aspect of that. Plus, this is something that we do all the time, and we're very conscious about being safe. So this is a series for Paramount and CBS, and they place a lot of emphasis on personal safety, community safety, et cetera.
okay, and just to follow up to that, Sheridan, if I could. And
Yes, you may.
That is, if you were approved, what type of notice do you provide for the community?
Right, so we put out letters to the community, so everything within probably 2 or 3 blocks of where we're filming, we'll put out actually hand-delivered letters to those. We can certainly talk with your communications officers here to see if there's to see if we can put out some kind of public notice. One of the things that we're always a little bit concerned about is attracting people to the area because of our activity. So we pretty carefully word what we're doing and just try and present sort of the facts, not really reveal who's on site, that kind of thing. So.
Elena?
Hi.
Hi.
Do you have alternate dates in mind?
We don't at the moment. It's something that we could consider, but for the time being, we're trying to go ahead with this particular dates because we have other obligations in other locations for this block of episodes. But if there's horrible weather, we would seriously consider pushing till a better day. So there is an option to change the dates, though we would be reluctant to do so.
Just around that, just because we're hosting
Yes.
the Chiefs of Ontario Annual Chiefs Assembly,
Okay.
and that'll be chiefs from all over Ontario.
Right.
That'll be here
Okay,
on the tenth. They'll probably arrive on the tenth,
right,
but from the 11th, 12th, and 13th.
okay,
So it's going to be very busy. And
yes,
if you're wanting to shut off the roads from 7 till 7 PM,
well, yes, I,
that's
Um,
going to be very difficult for
sure,
travel.
okay,
So that's why we're looking at or asking for other probably dates.
sure.
Yeah.
I can give you a pretty solid idea of how this times out when we're actually working on it. So first couple of hours in the morning, we're setting up, we're blocking, we're trying to figure out exactly where we're gonna shoot. Once we get all of that stuff sorted out, then we roll the cameras, we lock up the road, we roll the cameras for our shots. 2, 3 minutes, maybe 4 on the outside, but I kind of doubt it. Then we stop filming, reopen the road, traffic flows. Then the next time we start filming again, which is, probably could be anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes later, reclose the road, reshoot. Once everything's safe, reopen the road. And it goes like that all day long kind of thing. So, and then there's, hour and a half for our lunch by the time we get to lunch and back. Set up new shots. So every time we're setting up a new shot, we're probably 15 or 20 minutes of not filming and then filming for a few minutes. We do that probably 2 or 3 times. So we've got the shot, then we do a new setup. So another 15, 20 minutes of no closing the road, close them for a few more minutes. So it's not like we're shutting down everything all the time, but there will be interruptions during the day.
Melba?
Yeah, I think you've answered the question. You're gonna block off the road. I was concerned about the interested, curious people.
Yes,
There's quite a few that you see walking in that area, that small area there.
right.
Yeah,
So
So-
we have personnel on site who are there to ask people to move along or to hold them for a few minutes before we do our filming. We film often in very crowded areas, and so our part of our MO is to request people to stop for a moment while we're filming. Say, sometimes people are inside stores where it's say, could you wait just before you step out the door? That kind of thing. So we do have personnel to deal with that.
Cynthia?
Oh,
What made the production company choose that particular site being on reserve?
no, we had another site in mind, up near Grand Valley. And, by the time we got finished negotiating, it was an untenable figure for us. So we're looking for Texas here in this particular instance. So you would see us putting up, palm trees in various places around Sire's gas station. So we're looking for areas that are, fairly open, fairly sparsely populated. So this was actually a second choice for us.
Elena?
For those people that you have to kind of move people along,
Mhm.
would it be possible for you to hire local people? Some of our people don't necessarily take too kindly to people from outside the community
Yeah.
telling them where they can and cannot go.
Sure, understood. And I would definitely take that into account, and we could look into that for sure. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? So his request is for the June 10th and 11th in the vicinity of Sire's Gas Bar. Productions will carry the necessary general liability insurance for appropriate entities. All costs incurred will be expense of Sergio Productions. Cynthia?
Yeah, have you spoke about the need for these 3 officers with the Six Nations Police? And I would have to believe that you've already made arrangements with Stires.
Yeah, yes, we have made arrangements with Stires, and Six Nations Police was my first stop. After speaking with Mr. Stires, we have talked to Staff Sergeant Derek Anderson, And he and I spoke today. We made some small adjustments to where we would put the PDOs today. And he has approved the personnel and the cruisers for this purpose. And of course, we're hiring them as paid duty police officers. So we're footing the bill for that.
Elena?
I don't know that I would be willing to consider these dates.
Okay.
I think it's going to be very, very busy around here. And I'd be willing to consider other dates, alternate dates. I just think that there's going to be too many people that are not from here, with strict, timelines. They'll be going to and from meetings, and I don't know that all of the meetings are going to be hosted at the same place. And this is a main artery through to where ceremony is happening and meetings and accommodations and things like that.
Leslie?
Could we do a consideration for maybe a detour? If it's an all-day event and that stopping and going would be probably best served if they just went around and just left them to finish their work. Not necessarily, but I know we have people coming in a straight direct route here. So those that are coming in later as well.
Yeah.
I know his time is intermittent, so I don't know, Nathan, is there a timeline when all the chiefs are on site at the arena? I'm not sure when the shuttles are running, so I don't know whether it's, that will interfere with that, if it's only for 3 or 4 minutes. Worst case, that's what I was just thinking, because I kind of had the same concern as Elena, that it could get very busy. And it is a main artery off the reserve for people going to work, and some of them leave at 6, 7 in the morning, that's all. I mean, I just don't know how much that, depending if you're getting on a big roads, 5 minutes is a big difference.
Yes.
So on the 10th, the majority of the delegates will be at Mont Hill, with the exception of a number of meetings that are going on from the Leadership Council. But they'll be over at Leadership Council meetings or over at the pavilion in Cheesewood Park. So there'll be a lot of setup though, going on at the arena in terms of setting up the arena, getting all of the cultural pieces together, getting the lodges from the other nations together. So there'll be a lot of work going on there. And on the 11th, there'll be shuttles going in for sunrise ceremony beginning about 5:30, 6:30, and then running right till about 7. But then there'll be individuals driving in as well that may not know the route. Chiefs of Ontario provided the route right through. So that is a consideration that on the 11th, everybody will be at the arena though by 7 o'clock. That should be at the arena in the morning.
You said at 7 o'clock in the morning?
Meeting starts, sunrise ceremony starts at 6, breakfast is at 7, meeting starts at 8.
Okay, on the 11th, our estimated start time is 7:30. And we would be not doing any road closures at all until probably 8:15, I would think, maybe 8 o'clock at the earliest.
I think with the road closures, can you at least let our staff get to work?
Oh, yes.
If this is.
Yes. Yeah, you know, as I say, it's only for a few minutes at a time, but if there's, you know, I can certainly talk to our guys about organizing our day so that we're not looking at the road first up in the morning so that traffic can flow as much as possible. Some of our closure or intermittent traffic stoppages are for audio purposes as well. But because we're not doing a whole lot of dialogue on this particular day, it's a lot of action rather than dialogue. That may, you know, reduce our requirements for intermittent stoppages.
Any other questions or comments? Go ahead, Audrey.
Yeah, since you explained all of that stuff, I think if you work with Nathan on the times, I think it's doable. So I'd like to see it happen.
So Audrey's moving the recommendation that Six Nations of the Grand River Elected Council consider the request of Jeff Smith, location manager of Sogio productions of the Cross TV series to film throughout the day and with approval in collaboration with Six Nations Police, also to conduct intermittent traffic stoppage. So the filmage will take place on June 10th and 11th in the vicinity of Steyer's Gas Bar, 1987 Chiefswood Road, Shwégan, Ontario. Sagio Productions will carry the necessary general liability insurance and the appropriate entitlements, and all costs incurred will be the expense of Sagio Productions. Moved by Audrey, is there a seconder? Second by Melba. Question? Go ahead.
Is there compensation for Steyer's Gas Bar?
Yes, there is, absolutely, because we're closing.
Any other questions or comments? If not, moved by Audrey, second by Melba, all in favor? Anybody opposed? Carried. Waive second reading. Moved by Dale, second by Audrey, all in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Go ahead, Audrey.
Yeah, well, if anything happens or people need to be called, are you going to be in touch with what, Nathan? The police?
Well, we
We'll
will
have
have,
your number.
we will have police officers right with us, one very close to the set. And this is another reason why having the police is important, because we're brandishing weapons. We want someone there who can call to the headquarters and say, we are brandishing weapons on this site. If people call it in, it's the film production and not a real situation, you know, until we can determine if there is one. May I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
For the permit, do I approach the works department? What's the procedure to actually get the intermittent traffic stoppages?
That's just with the police.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Carrie?
So this scene here that you're doing, when would it be televised?
That's a good question. This has been the most unusual show I've started. This is season 2 of Cross. They haven't screened season 1 yet. And that's normally not happens. That normally you screen one, you see how it goes, and then you do the second one. This one, they're so confident in that they're screening that, they're starting the second season prior to screening the first one. So I suspect we will start this particular first series. They've just released a trailer for it. So I suspect we'll start that this summer. And that's 10 episodes. And then the second season will come out whenever I don't know if it'll follow right on the heels or if it'll be, you know, another season or 2 before we get to see it. But it's, I can't answer that question right now.
Cynthia? Oh, sorry, Cynthia. Do you have a follow-up, Carrie?
Yeah, maybe you can just notify the office here
Yes.
whenever it does.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Cynthia?
Yeah, you might not want to answer, but I gotta ask. Who are the stars in this production?
So I'm not sure, I guess I can't speak off the record here, can I? It is, if anybody has seen, the movie Black Adam with, The Rock Johnson in it, there's a fellow, who plays Hawkman, and that's our lead. That's Alex Cross. I'm sure you can all find it on the interweb. Yeah.
We're just reading it. Just kidding. Okay, thank you for coming in tonight.
Thank you. very much.
And if you can work closely with Nathan,
I will.
Yep.
Yes, thank you very much.
and then we'll get the communication out to the community.
Okay, that's terrific.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much. Thank you, everyone.
Dale?
Yeah, just a comment. So Nathan, if you can get that out, I think maybe the police might want that as well, just to know that we've granted them consent, so the police are aware of that as well.
Okay, so let's move on to number 6, Chief's updates. So the first one is community awareness. I have tried to make it to as many community awareness events as possible. It's been great to see so many of our community members at the various events. There are so many smiling faces and so much laughter They were all great it was great to see. The annual Community Awareness Chief and Council Barbecue will be this Friday, May 31st, on the front lawn of the Central Administration Building from 11:30 till 3:30. Also went to the Moccasin Walk on Saturday, May 11th. The 5K walk for the hospice fundraiser at the Blue Track in Schwiegen. Also, Councillor Dean Hill was there running. I was walking. Thanks for everyone's support and participation. We have made strides to supporting a hospice in the community. Bread and cheese on May 20th. Councilors and I participated in the annual bread and cheese, cut the loaves of bread, got the cheese ready, handed out the bread and cheese to the community, and assisted with the cleanup. I was thrilled to have seen thousands of community members come together on such a beautiful day. The community's enthusiasm and participation made the event truly special, highlighting community coming together and enjoying each other's company. And a huge thank you to all the volunteers who worked tirelessly to make this event possible. Six Nations Day at Queen's Park. I'm happy to share that last week, the 59th elected council, with support from senior administration leadership teams, hosted a very successful reception at Queen's Park on Wednesday, May 15th. We had the opportunity to meet approximately 45 members of provincial parliament, 18 provincial cabinet ministers, and leaders of the opposition. Our goal for hosting the reception was a threefold: to build new and stronger relationships, to increase awareness about Six Nations, to share messages on important matters impacting to our community. This was a great opportunity to discuss our community's priorities and collaborative efforts and advocate for the needs and interests for Six Nations. Chiefs and Six Nations Chief and Six Nations were recognized at the Ontario Legislature. Before the Six Nations reception, the Queen's Park on May 15th, the Chief, myself, the Six Nations delegate, and Six Nations of the Grand River were recognized by name in the Ontario Legislature. This was an appreciation recognition of the work being done by the Chief and Council to advance the community's needs and priorities. Six Nations political advocacy work has advanced discussion of the excise tax in Ottawa. The chief and the chief's official political staff have done significant work to advance awareness on the part of the federal politicians of the impact of federal excise tax on the Six Nations community. Over 350 million is taken from our community by the federal government every year, and we have lobbied the federal government to begin handing that money back to our people. Thanks to the work, the MPs from all the parties have agreed to conduct a formal House of Commons committee study of the excise tax in the context of revenue sharing with First Nations. This is a significant step forward thanks to the work initiated by the 58th Council and the current being done by the 59th Chief and Council and Six Nations political staff. Meeting the opposition leader, Marriott Stiles, after the reception on May 15th at Queen's Park. Chief Hill, Councillor Greg Fraser, Councillor Elena Van Avery, Councillor Hazel Johnson, Councillor Amos Key Jr., and also Councillor Dale Bomberry met with the leader of opposition, and she's the leader of the NDP. We spoke about various political needs for Six Nations community, such as our protecting inherent rights, we safeguarding community safety and promoting equity and fairness for the Six Nations of the Grand River community. There was also a discussion on Bill C-53, where we discussed our opposition. The leader Stiles expressed interest in deepening a relationship with Six Nations of the Grand River and said she and her staff would be in contact further with us. Meeting with Atira on Thursday, May 16th was an introductory meeting with Atira, a subsidiary of the Crown Corporation, Ontario Power Generation. Also in attendance were Peter Graham from Lands and Resource and Matt Jameson from Development Corporation, as they have existing relationships. Atira discussed a desire to working more collaboratively with Six Nations as they work towards reconciliation. I discussed the importance of educating and training community members with our local organizations, Polytech and GREDI, to work in the energy sector and the importance of environmental assessments of potential projects done in collaboration with First Nations. Additionally, I emphasized the importance of Ontario educating their staff on the truth and reconciliation calls to action, encourage them to visit Woodland Cultural Center to learn more about Six Nations community and its history. Oh, okay. Next one was meet and greet with the Norfolk County. We hosted Mayor Amy Martin and the councilors from Norfolk County on May 21st. While Norfolk County is adjacent to the Haldimand Tract, it is neighboring jurisdiction to Six Nations of the Grand River and is important ally in our government relations work with provincial government. Chief, myself and Mayor Martin both touched the importance of collaboration on projects such as the Nanticoke water line project. Next one was meet and greet with MPP Boma and staff. We hosted with them on May 22nd. We were able to put faces to names and built personal relationships that will continue to prove helpful as we navigate the complex political dynamics in the provincial level. Also, Sonhajiwa grand opening. I attended the grand opening Ganakushra New Sexual Violence Healing Center on May 23rd and giving opening remarks. This center is such an important resource for our community, offering vital supports and healing for those affected by sexual violence. I extend my gratitude to the staff for their hard work and commitment that went into opening this new center for the community. And together, continue to walk the path of healing, resilience, and hope. And meeting with the Lieutenant Governor, the councilors and I welcome Honorable Edith Dumont, Lieutenant General of Ontario, to council chambers on May 24th. Her Honor Dumont requested to meet with us as Lieutenant Governor was going to be in the area and was on an educational quest to learn more about Six Nations of the Grand River. The Chief and Council, we answered various questions from Her Honor about Six Nations of the Grand River community. Her Honor was interested in Six Nations of the Grand River community, and she didn't want to leave, so she wants to come back. So that's all I have as for update. Is there a mover to accept his information? Moved by Audrey, second by Hazel. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. CEO. Yes. CEO update. Go ahead, Nathan.
PowerPoint? So while that's loading, I'll just start with a quick update on the first slide was on Genios. And as you know, the Genios remains closed until further notice, as there's a number of health and safety issues that were experienced there. We have moved operations of some of the services to White Pines Wellness Center. We do also note and apologize as this has caused some longer wait times for the services and some inconveniences going forward. So Oshwegan Lab and Ganyos Medical Clinic are operating Monday to Friday, 8 p.m. till 12 p.m. and 1 to 2:30. And we do continue to have those parking lots at the rear of the building reserved for clients. Staff are parking elsewhere and being shuttled into the offices. The ramp clinic continues to run out of Ganyos, and we are still in the process of identifying an area for the dental clinic to get that up and running. Staff's working tirelessly to get to do some due diligence on that to make sure the equipments are up to snuff in terms of what we need for those particular pieces. But I do have to report that on Friday, last Friday, we asked senior staff to come in to address the staff that are in the building, because we were doing an update to them as well. We wanted to provide as much information as possible. But I do sadly have to report that the senior IS staff really attempted to downplay the seriousness nature of that particular particular situation we're in, by challenging the reports that we provided to the staff, as well as the seriousness of the mold and the remediation going forward. So the next slide, we have meetings lined up this week with ISK Assistant Deputy Minister staff to start looking at what those next steps are, timelines for repairs and remediation. At this time, I'm just listening to what they're offering, and I'll bring that information back to council. We are also doing some due diligence and on the mold report that we received. So we're going to do an executive summary on top of that. That's being completed this week. And it's our hope that early next week we'll be able to communicate to the community on the impacts of the mold to the staff, as well as the community members that were utilizing the facilities. In addition to that, I'm working with Chief's office. I do have to report that at this time, the minister did decline a meeting with the chief. But we are setting up minister staff meetings as well as senior level meetings next week to continue on this dialogue going forward. So that's the update there. Like I said, we'll be able to communicate to council early next week on our due diligence and as it relates to the report, the impacts, and the communication to community members on the impacts to them as well. Related to this, I'm just going to move us into the next section. In early April, I do want to give an update that we did provide integrated management system training to all staff. It was provided to all staff. And I just want to talk a bit about what that is. What IMS training refers to, it's a training course where they have IMS 100 all the way up to 500. And what it does is it brings together all of the organization systems and processes into one complete framework, which enables the organization to work as a single unit with objectives as it relates to emergency management. So the training was completed in March 2024. Happy to report that 552 staff have IMS 100, 27 staff have IMS 200, and 18 staff have IMS 300. In my previous job, I have IMS 500 as well as part of my old job. So I carry that on, and I'll make sure I continue to get all of my upgrades and certifications as that goes. The reason why I wanted to kind of update this is we had at least 3 incidents where we've used this IMS training since we took it in March. The eclipse, we called a quick IMS meeting just to make sure that we had all of the emergency services in place in the event that we did get an influx of folks into the community. That didn't end up happening, but we certainly had the plans in place to deal with that. We've also used the IMS training in the Ganyos closure with situational reports and situational meetings on a weekly basis to make sure that the plans and the transition from Ganyos into White Pines went as smoothly as possible. And as recently as yesterday, we called 2 IMS meetings just to make sure that we were providing as much service as possible to alleviate the flooding that was happening at Iroquois Lodge, as well as get folks in there to tend to the residents so that they weren't as inconvenienced as much as possible. So just wanted to provide a quick update on that. That takes me to my next update, just an update on the flooding that occurred yesterday. The drainage issue that affected some of the homes and buildings on Fifth Line was due to an issue with the wastewater collection system. That issue has since resolved and the flooding has stopped. We are currently working with Public Works to do the investigation on the impacts to this drainage issue in the community and see where those issues were. So Public Works is conducting that investigation. So it did impact homes that were on the Oswego sewer lines. And we are putting out communication to the community on supports that they have afforded to them. So we are working with the comms department to get that information out to the community. At this time, if you are impacted by this particular situation and your home is owned by Six Nations Housing, we would ask you to call Six Nations Housing directly. In addition to that, if your home is owned by a CP holder, you should get in touch with that CP holder as well. And they would need to get in touch with the insurance company on the remediation pieces. So this is an ongoing issue where we're looking at both the cause of it, but also ensuring that we are supporting our community members that were impacted by it. So I just wanted to provide that update. My next two slides is focused in on some of my work I'm doing with senior leadership and the staff. As the internal systems is aware, we did do, and we are looking to wrap up the listening exercise in terms of communication and kind of my commitment to folks when I started this. There is a report that is being developed, and we're developing a CEO video address to introduce the report to staff based on their feedback and comments, and also how we're going to use those results to develop an administrative strategic plan. We have updated the internal systems committee for their awareness and further directions. So we continue to kind of go down the path of doing the listening exercise as well as providing a report to staff on what those results were. The next slide talks a bit about the support for political advocacy. Just want to reassure that all councillors can reach out to the CEO's office, the CEO team, directors, senior managers on the supports required as it relates to political advocacy as well as action items. In addition to that, we are working and have notes into both Chiefs of Ontario and AFN to get some of their briefing materials as well as the resolutions to us in a little bit more of a timely manner so we can do our analysis of that and do the analysis of what that and how that impacts Six Nations, just so we can brief folks prior to these issues hitting the floor. And we continue to work with the Chief's office to identify the gaps as it relates to timely flow of information, which is critical to the community. We know there's barriers, but we're working through those barriers. And also, as discussed yesterday as well, we are reviewing and making amendments to not only the briefing notes, but as well as the process to ensure that you have the information required to make a good decision. This includes the financial and the policy impacts to the decision-making pieces. Still identifying a few hiccups here there, but we're looking to identify what those gaps are and resolve those in a timely manner so that you do have all of the information required in your kits. Do want to provide an update on office space. First of all, we are, and I will be reporting to the internal systems again on kind of the current state of affairs as it relates to office space. So we have been working on a report for that. Not only from the standpoint of where we're at now, but what we can expect going into the future. We have entered into a lease agreement with Six Nations Polytechnic for our space on the Elgin campus. And this was space reserved for planning, performance, and the evaluation team, as well as other teams going into that. So we did do a call out to departments to see if there are needs for additional space. I'm continuing to examine the potential use of Eagle's Nest as the current leaseholders who choose to end their leases. So that discussion is ongoing. Happy to report that the Environment Department has moved into office space into the plaza. And we continue to determine if any of those spaces can be used for more of our departments. On the longer term piece, we are exploring the possibility of new commercial and office spaces based on the assessments that I spoke about. So once we have a good idea of what those numbers are, we'll be able to put a proposal in place too on a number of those pieces. Currently, I do have to report that staff working out of our records building are now working out of central administration. We are doing the necessary repairs to the records building to ensure that it's safe for staff to enter. So those repairs to the foundation are happening now. And happy to report that we did receive a commitment for about 150K to do a redesign of the archival, library, and records building. Currently, the size is looking at about 50,000 square foot. And again, the site was being contemplated around the Harold Road area. So again, we did receive the commitment from ISC to do the work to do a redesign of that particular area. So we're obviously going to include some additional office spaces in that as well. And I'll quickly just highlight, I know I gave an update last week on hosting of the All Ontario Chiefs Assembly, and now we got a film crew to work around, but did want to report, heard today that just under 300 delegates have registered for the All Ontario Chiefs Assembly, sorry, the annual Chiefs Assembly. And that is inclusive of 51 chiefs and proxies as of 4 o'clock today. Definitely, that's a good number in my experience in terms of chiefs assemblies, because there's always more that show up. Also wanted to highlight that the golf tournament is filling up. I believe they have extended the deadline. But again, the golf tournament was put on by Chiefs of Ontario as well as the Ontario First Nations Young People's Council to commemorate the 20th anniversary of the Young People's Council. There will be a banquet to follow at 5:30, honoring past members and alumni of the Ontario First Nations Young People's Council. And I did see some of that list. It's a very impressive list, including some of the delegates we heard yesterday. So our social events, just as a reminder, we are hosting, the Six Nations Chili's is hosting a banquet that night, as well as the game. I understand the chief will be dropping the ball, but we did reserve a number of tickets for those interested First Nations leaders that want to attend. We'll have a dedicated table set up for those chiefs interested in signing up. So Lee will have a sign up list for those interested in doing the lacrosse game, and we'll make sure that there's shuttle services available for those delegates to head down. In addition to that, Six Nations Tourism is coordinating with the Woodland Cultural Center, Pauline Johnson, and Mohawk Chapel to also have a sign up list for those interested in doing tours of those facilities. Six Nations Polytechnic has offered tours of their facilities, so they will be sitting with tourism, signing folks up for those interested to see that. And we continue to work with Six Nations Dev Corp on bingo packages for the coup delegates during that particular week. Wednesday will be the gala for the new or incumbent regional chief. We have made arrangements for cultural performances, and at this point, it's a smoke dance show in terms of those pieces, but there'll be more to come in terms of the planning. And we do have local musical entertainment, Second Line Bluegrass providing that. It is also gives us an opportunity, and we will be presenting gifts from the community to the newly elected regional chief and any of the elders that were part of the ceremony that's being conducted. So that's it. Do you have any questions?
Any questions, Audrey?
Might as well say what I can still remember. Okay, the first one, I've got 3 or 4 of them. The first one is, were there any reports of any eye conditions, eye damage during that, after the eclipse. So that's one. Are we also going to talk and discuss as council who we are going to put, or ask our chiefs to stand behind when the vote comes for the new chief? And I guess the communication and information, is all that going to be getting out to the community and letting them know what's happening about our days with Chiefs of Ontario? And can I get a copy of your information too, please?
Yeah,
I'm gonna write that down.
I'll have Shirley and Brooke add it to the package. There was no reports of any eye damage, from Six Nations as a result of the eclipse. Second question, I believe council made that determination yesterday in terms of who, council was supporting. And third question, so early last week, we sent out communicate to all of the businesses through Two Rows, letting them know that there'll be a number of chiefs in town. If they wanted to have promotional items in the loot bag, to get a hold of Lee, and any events that they were planning in support of that, to get a hold of Lee as well. So they've been communicated, and I believe at 6 o'clock today, tomorrow morning, the notice will go out to the community about the event, also informing them that other nations' lodges will be erected behind the community hall. We also did a brief explanation of what Chiefs of Ontario is, what the assembly is, as well as a brief explanation of the selection process for the Ontario Regional Chiefs. So that's gone out.
Melba?
Nathan, how have we prepared for a possible protest which will interrupt the activities of what we're handling here?
Yeah, so we have provided, I think the information going out ahead of time is key in terms of letting the community know that this is happening and other nations are going to be here. We did have Six Nations Police will be present throughout the entire event. They will be providing not only security, but also they're also the fire keepers for the sacred fire that will be lit. In addition to that, security has been hired for the event for all 3 days. But I think the big piece is communicating and having that communication up to the community.
Thank you. Is there a motion to accept this information? Moved by Audrey, second by Carrie, all in favor? Anybody opposed? Seen none, carried. Let's move to number 8, adoption of general council minutes for April 23rd. Is there any? Go ahead, Elena.
Sorry, the only error that I saw was in the spelling of Nathan's name under new business.
On the April 23rd first.
Yeah, April 23rd minutes.
Okay.
You're just doing April 23rd right now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I have something else for the May 14th.
All right, now for the May 13th, and we'll move them all together. Is there any questions about the May 13th? Oh, 14th.
Sorry, our agenda today, it says the 13th, but it's actually the 14th, the
Yes,
minutes from the 14th.
so Brooks gonna change that.
And then there's under new additions, Helen had one and Nathan had one under that. And it's just grammatical stuff. Receive should be receiving and there should be there. Just corrections.
Okay, with the corrections for April 23rd and May 14th, is there a mover to accept with the corrections? Moved by Leslie, seconder. Oh, seconder. Second by Elena, all in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Number 9, ratification of email poll for Sol Memaqua. So moved by Carrie Bomberry, second by Cynthia Jamison, that Six Nations of the Grand River elected council, delegate Chief Sherry Lynn Hill, Councillor Dean Hill, and Councillor Elena Van Avery attend the Legislative Assembly at Queen's Park, Toronto, to witness this historic event whereby Saul Memakwa will address the speaker in his native language, Anishinaabe Moan, on Tuesday, May 28th, 2024. That was today. Is there a mover? Moved by Carrie, seconder. Second by Leslie. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. I just want to say, just from today, his mother was there and she turned 79 today. So, Saul's mom. So that was nice. She was there. They sang happy birthday to her outside after the ceremony, but also, in the Parliament building, they sang happy birthday to her. It was very, moving watching that. And when he first saw us, he was just, he hugged me and he just thought of his own riding and his community would be there to support him. He just thanked Six Nations for being there to support him on this day. So I just wanted to share that. Next one, number 10, scheduling. If anyone is available tomorrow, I guess. The Six Nations of the Grand River elected council, if a counselor to attend the Hamilton Children's Water Festival tomorrow. So if you're able to, please contact Brooke and Brooke will get you the details to that. And there is nothing else, no additions to that. So we'll have a motion to adjourn. Moved by Carrie. What was that? Dean's going to. Yeah. He's going by Zoom. Yes. Okay. So moved by Carrie to adjourn, second by Lena. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. And thank you for joining us tonight. Have a great night, everyone.